every kind of range of the spectrum, there are players that fit into this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dawn, also known as Dragon Rider, and this is going to be quite of a different video a little bit. I just kind of want to talk for a couple of minutes about mindset, mentality, imposter syndrome, ladder anxiety, kind of a mix of all of that, and talk about my experiences, and hopefully it will help some of you as well. I have been struggling a little bit myself with imposter syndrome, especially something that Ridiculous Hat posted on Twitter. So the beginning of his thread starts with ladder anxiety and imposter syndrome are both real, and no matter how experienced you are at Hearthstone, you will face them. And this is definitely true. You can get this kind of experience and talk from pro players, people who've been playing a long time, people who are new, people who are trying to hit new milestones. Every kind of range of the spectrum, there are players that fit into this. And I know for myself, my latest experience, you might have seen me, I got to join as a guest caster for the America's Grand Masters. Then that same weekend, I did more casting for Supergirl Gamer Pro. Now, anybody that has seen me before, if you followed me, I love casting, I love tournaments, and I've been casting a variety of just casting on my own personal channel, casting some just kind of volunteer third-party tournaments, to casting more professional paid casting gigs like Supergirl and so on. But I had never done anything on quite the same scale as Grandmasters that is very, very public and a very big opportunity. And I know for me, I will say, yes, I was nervous. Also, second guessed myself a lot. I've been doing this for years, casting for about 3 years, if not slightly more than 3 years now. And, I feel like I am pretty good at it, but I still struggle with that imposter syndrome. I thought, I'm not going to do well. People aren't going to like me. I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to know a matchup as well as I should. I'm going to say something stupid. I'm going to forget a card name. Yes, all of those thoughts go through my head. But at the same time, I have to realize that this is something that I have been doing for a long time. I love doing it. I know, overall, sure, I might mess up a card name here or there. I might not know every single little interaction that could happen, but I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I play this game day in and day out. I'm there. And a lot of people, came back with a lot of positive feedback on the casting, but for me it was still I'm not going to be at the same level as these other casters, or I'm not going to be at the level that I want to be at. And I almost felt like I was out of place. And Ridiculous Hat's tweet and his thread about this really hit home for me because, again, I felt like an imposter, right? We got to do some kind of caster practice beforehand and play some matchups and decks. And yeah, I felt like a huge imposter. I was sitting in the call thinking to myself, like, I don't fit in, I don't belong here, kind of thing. Like, I'm not as good at this as other people. And it was my mind playing tricks on me. And I want to kind of reiterate that message for all of you as well, because there's going to be points throughout your play. You see all these ranks here. No matter what rank you're at, what rank you've hit before, what rank you want to be, all of that, at some point, you probably will encounter some sort of ladder anxiety, some sort of that feeling that you aren't as good as you think you are, or you've gotten to a certain point before and now you're not hitting that. Well, yeah, it must have just been a fluke, or you must have just gotten lucky before. No. The thing with especially games like this, but a ton of stuff, whether it's feeling burnt out with work, or a long career, the time that you put into something and the expectation that you hold yourself to, or the expectation that you think others hold you to, can have a huge impact on how you see yourself and how you see yourself as a player at these various ranks. Now, rank is really an indication of a lot of different factors. How is the meta for you? Are you playing decks that are giving you success? Are you enjoying the meta? Because typically, if you're enjoying the meta, you're going to play more, which generally, the more you play, you're going to know what to expect from your opponents, things like that a lot more. That will typically get you better results. If you aren't enjoying the meta, if you took a long break and just came back, maybe the meta is changing a lot. For me, I typically do better on ladder when things are a little bit more stale. It's just my mind and the way that I learn and process things. It's a lot easier for me when I can kind of come up with a formula or say, okay, this is what I expect to happen. It's just that kind of ABC, 1, 2, 3. I know what to expect. In a very fast-paced changing meta, when we're having a lot of nerfs, like we've had recently in Stormwind, we had the expansion, we had nerfs what feels like almost every week or every other week. It's moving very quickly. And even though I play every day, I still am having trouble kind of keeping up with what's good, what people are playing. There's a half a day where all of a sudden everyone's playing watch posts, and then the next day there's none of that. And one day I see a ton of mages and rogues, and then the next day it's warlocks and druids, whatever it may be. That is going to happen over time. And you can't expect yourself to do perfect, excellent gameplay all the time. There's going to be times where you're going to hit bad RNG, or maybe you're just not in a mindset to play very well. The meta is changing and you're just not able to keep up. Something's happening at work or with your family, and it's got you kind of distracted. Whatever it is, that doesn't mean that you are a bad player, or that when you got to a certain rank before that you were lucky and now all of a sudden it's just this is how you are actually as a player. Things fluctuate. There's an up and down. I'm going to give a couple of examples of things that I try to think about. One, you can kind of think about, let's think about it as kind of a river, right? Okay. A river is going to have bends where all of a sudden the flow of water might change. Or maybe partway through a river, there's like a waterfall, right? Obviously, there's going to be some very fast-paced water there. There's craziness, right? You're going down. Okay, yes, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm trying to give you a visual here. Sometimes it's going to feel like smooth, perfect water, right? You're going to be just cruising along. You're climbing. You feel like you're playing well. Great. All of a sudden, there's really crazy water. You're uncomfortable. You can't really get where you're going. It feels rocky. That's going to happen. Another way you can think about it is with driving. Let's say you're driving on a road. There's going to be stop signs. There's going to be stop lights. There's going to be other vehicles that you have to maneuver around, other things like that. It's always changing. Sometimes maybe on your drive to work, you're going to hit a ton of green lights and you just get to, it's smooth sailing, right? You just get to cruise right through all those green lights. You make it to work. Sometimes there's going to be road construction or an accident, or you hit every single red light and it's just going to feel like a nightmare. Yeah, that happens with the game too. But how you manage your reaction to that is going to help you out a lot more. And I want to point out one other thing that Hat said in his thread that I think kind of also sums this up. Now, he says that every time that he loses, you feel like, oh, I have to queue up again to get these ranks back. Or, of course, I lost. I don't belong here. And he says those are the same feelings he has when he was first grinding the 11-star bonus. They were the same feelings he had when he was first grinding to Legend years ago. It never stops. It only moves. And I think that is a very important thing to remember, and kind of ties in with my analogies there, right? It moves. Your goal moves. Your abilities to maneuver metas, to learn decks quickly or adapt to changes moves. with experience, with practice, and your mindset plays a huge, huge role in that. And probably honestly, the biggest role, because also the more that you put pressure on yourself to hit a certain rank, to have a certain win rate, all of that, when you don't hit it, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be taking bigger steps backward, because then you start kind of fighting it instead of just saying, okay, well, today was a little bit of a bad RNG, or yeah, I was kind of distracted and I wasn't paying attention like I do when I do really well, for example. Or, even when you're paying attention and doing well, you're not going to be able to play consistently at that, high, high, high level every single time you play. Even the pros don't always have that super high level. Now, their baseline play might be a lot higher than the average player, but they also have bad days. They have days where they struggle. Maybe they only have a 45% win rate, or around a 50, when normally they're at like a 55% win rate. Well, that 5% might make a difference, especially when they're at a point where that does make a difference, more so than looking at, hey, I had a 50 versus a 55 and that was a 1-star difference. It's a lot more noticeable at like the higher legends, where it takes even more to climb up instead of just 1 star. So everybody deals with this, everybody struggles. And, I wanted to share a little bit of my struggles as well, because, even if it looks like somebody might be amazing or they handle things super well, they might look like they have it all together, everybody has their own struggles and it's not always going to be perfect. But as the meta changes, as your experience, your comfort level, your mindset with dealing with the RNG or bad draws or the meta in general, as all of that changes, your mindset should adapt and change with that as well. Again, I know this was a little bit more of a different video, but I hope that you did enjoy this. I would love to hear some of your experiences as well. Was there something you've learned over time that kind of really helped you? Is there anything that you have felt like something that you like to do to try to catch yourself when your mentality is wavering, or if you feel like you need to take a break? What is it that works for you? What doesn't work for you? I'd love to hear those in the comments below. Thank you so much. And if you're looking for even more, go ahead and click on that playlist right there to get even more mentality videos.